All right, I am live. My pool is making all kinds of crazy noises this morning. I don't know why my other camera decided not to play. I don't know. No, wake up on that. Okay, now please go away. Yeah. Great. So, good morning, wherever you are, whether you're on YouTube or Facebook, and the dogs are just berserk. Out of the way so you can see whether I can see them. All right, so I might have to banish the dogs already, you guys. Hey. All right, hey, come on, in. Karma, Bulldog, let's go. In. Karma, in. Come on. Hey. Oh, that's a fun way to start. All right, hey, who's with me this morning? Of course, I can't see. Can't see what's going on YouTube necessarily, but whoever you are, hello, good morning. Okay, so what's new? Chaos reigns. So yeah, chaos reigns, doesn't it? The world is a weird, kind of scary place right now, and I don't know, you guys. All we can do about it is continue to have peace within and to shine that peace out, right? And while that doesn't necessarily impact the world, if you can impact one person today, tomorrow, next week, hopefully that's a piece, right? And that's all you can do. Remember, you have no control over the result of your actions, right? You only have control over the action itself. So as long as you are applying the principles, that's the best you can do, right? So when I say applying the principles, I'm talking about doing the right thing for you. And I hate the way that sounds. I don't like the way it's wording. But applying the principles of non-harming, right? So when you're on your mat, you're not harming yourself. When you're out in the world, you're not harming others. If you're applying the principles of yoga, you can only control the action and not the result. And there's a better way to think about that. So we are going to cultivate our own peace, right, today on the mat. And we're going to shine it out at the same time, right? So there'll be a bit of forward folding and then a bit of back bending to kind of complement and share, right? And whether that solves world peace or just makes you happier and the people that you're around happier today, then that's the best we can do, right? That's all we can do. We don't have control over the rest. So let's cultivate some peace. All right. So yeah, we're going to start seated on the mat here. And find a comfortable seat, right? So aligning the heels to the groin, making sure you feel upright on your pelvis, engaging the lower belly so you can sit tall here. Relaxing into your shoulders, go ahead and close your eyes. And just allow yourself to be present for a moment. Don't worry about doing anything just yet. Just allow yourself to be here in this space at this moment. And then just begin to observe your breath, becoming aware of the flow in and out. And gradually allow the breath to expand, filling up and emptying out. Allow yourself to work to the extreme. So make that breath as big as it can be on the inhale, filling up every little space in the lungs. And then as empty as it can be on the exhale. And then let's work in the middle. So finding the breath between your natural breath and that big enormous breath. And staying connected to that place. Whatever that means for you, remember, I may be cueing an inhale, but if you're not inhaling yet, don't inhale yet. Staying inwardly focused, connected to the breath here. Let's go ahead and extend the arms out to the sides. With the inhale, stretch them up. And on the exhale, bring them back down. Again, like that. Let's go once more. And then back to the top. Exhaling just the right hand back to the mat. Give yourself a little tip over to that right side. Keeping the sit bones grounded. Keeping that right shoulder back. If you'd like to look toward the ceiling, feel free to look. And on an inhale, make your way back up to the top again. Switch it over to the left. Taking a nice big breath in here, opening the right shoulder maybe more toward the ceiling. And then inhaling on your way back up to the center again. We'll go once more like that on each side. So take it right, maybe a deeper stretch, maybe a bigger breath, whatever you feel like you need there. And then coming back up to the top. Over to the left, last one like this. Back up to the top again here. And exhaling as we release the arms. So let's take the fingers and interlace them behind the lower back. We're going to draw the shoulders together on the back and stretch the knuckles toward the floor. So you're probably pressing your knuckles into the floor at this point, and that's all right. Keeping the shoulders back, we're going to begin to hinge forward here. So think belly button to heels. It doesn't have to move that direction, but try not to think forehead to feet or floor, right? Tipping from the hip. And then see if you can draw your shoulders a little closer together on the back and stretch the knuckles away here. They might still be touching the floor or not. They might be lifting up off of your lower back or not. Just keeping the chest nice and open, feeling the stretch in the hips, breathing. Let's go ahead and hinge back up again here. Before you release your fingers, think about which thumb you can naturally put on top. We're going to release the hands and we're going to switch which foot is in front here. And it's probably the same foot you always have in front. Right, so switching it up. And then when you go to interlace your fingers, put the other thumb on top. Shoulders pull toward each other, knuckles reach away, and we hinge forward here. So same idea, keeping the chest open and just feeling the sensation in the hips, lower back, wherever you might be feeling this the most. With an inhale, hinge it back up again and release the fingers. You can roll your shoulders around if that feels good. Let's take the legs out long. Wiggle them around a little bit. And the feet are hip bone distance apart as always, toes pointing up toward the ceiling. Sitting nice and tall here, upright on the pelvis. We're reaching the arms up. Hinge forward from your hips. When you can't hinge any further, let your hands fall. So you touch what you touch with your hands, just coming into this first forward fold, nice and gentle, feeling the stretch in the hamstrings. And the same idea, keeping the shoulders back. So imagine leading toward the toes with your chest rather than your fingers. Taking another big breath. And then coming back up to the top again. Release the arms. Let's make our way around onto hands and knees. So taking your time. Placing the wrists under the shoulders, knees under the hips, of course, the belly is engaged. The spine is in this neutral position here. And then we're going to inhale, dropping the belly toward the floor, squeeze the shoulders together on the back. And exhale as you stretch the spine up toward the ceiling. So just connect it to the breath, flowing in and out like that. Let's take one more flow. And then come back to a middle. So the spine is again neutral in this place, right? We want to keep that idea and move into a kneeling plank. So knees back or hands forward, whatever it takes here. And that spine is still in the neutral place, right? Belly's in to support the pelvis. The hands are nice and even onto the mat. You can stay on the knees for a little bit if you need to. We're going to lift the knees up otherwise and just simply hold in a plank. Extending through the crown of your head, out through your heels. And again, just focusing on the shoulders, being in that neutral place on your back. From here, let's go ahead and lift the hips, making our way toward down dog, and just allowing yourself to move and stretch a little bit. So whether that's bicycling your heels, shifting through your hips or your shoulders, just kind of play. then allow yourself to settle in. So press down into the four corners of the hands, nice and even into the mat. Imagine pressing your chest back towards your thighs, feeling that extra stretch in the hamstrings, maybe your hips, your lower back. Sinking the heels toward the floor, and maybe they touch and maybe they don't. Let's go ahead and lift the right leg straight back, keeping the hips level for a moment and extending through the heels. And then opening just your right hip. So the shoulders stay level, the toes probably lift a little higher. You can bend at the knee, pointing the knee toward the ceiling. Keep pressing the chest back and sinking the left heel. It likes to lift here for some strange reason. Don't worry about that. Press it down. Releasing the leg. Let's do the same thing on the second side. So lift the left. Take it straight back, keeping your hips level for a moment, and just really press out. Allowing the hip to open, bending at the knee, keeping the shoulders level. And then releasing that side. Let's go ahead and lift the right leg again. And we'll step the foot through to the hands, coming to a lunge. Go ahead and drop the back knee. Adjust the toes to the fingers if you need a little assist there. And then take the right leg straight. So focusing into this right hamstring. Fingertips might be on the floor. You can prop up on blocks. You can prop up on the thigh here, keeping the shoulders back, leading towards your toes with your chest. Kind of. You get it. Let's take another big breath. And bend into the knee. Allowing the hips to descend. Keeping the shoulders down and back. Let's bring the right hand to the hip and add in a little twist here. Belly button rotating toward the thigh. Side ribs rotating toward the ceiling. Maybe taking the shoulder back. Take another big breath. Release the twist and take the leg straight again. So maybe a little bit deeper stretch, but keeping the spine nice and neutral here. And then bend back into the knee. Allowing the hips to descend a little deeper maybe. And if this is where you are, the hands might need to stay on the floor. You can climb up on the thigh here, but keep the hips descending, right? So sometimes when we climb up, the hips back up, put them down. Keeping the body as upright as you can. So you can press against the thigh to maybe go a little bit more upright, or maybe even a little bit beyond upright. Shoulders are down and back. How about taking the fingers to interlace behind the back here, drawing the shoulders together and stretching the knuckles back for that left heel. They're not gonna touch the heel, but in that direction, so you really open the chest. Imagine lifting it toward the ceiling. Let's go ahead and gently release the hands. And we're gonna step back to our down dog. So working the same idea on the second side, lift the left leg. Stepping that foot through to the hands, come to lunge here. So dropping the right knee to the floor, adjusting your toes, of course, if you need. When you're ready for it, left leg straight. And again, you're just finding the stretch with the neutral spine. Let's go ahead and bend. Sinking in through the hips, but keeping them square, extending out the crown of the head. Bring the left hand to the hip and rotate around here. Releasing the twist. Take a look, take the leg straight again, and see about finding a deeper stretch with the shoulders down and back. Once more, bend into the knee. Sink into the hips a little lower if they'll go. And remember, the idea is to keep the chest lifted, the shoulders down and back. So maybe the hands stay down, maybe you climb up, maybe you come a bit more vertical or beyond. And you can add in the arms or not. So as we look up, the temptation is to take the chin toward the ceiling. Imagine tucking the chin toward the throat instead. And again, lifting your chest toward the ceiling. Let's go ahead and release that. And make our way back to down dog. Give yourself just a little wiggle, a stretch. And then go ahead and drop on down into a child's pose. Take just a couple of breaths here. And then make your way back to down dog. From there, walking the feet forward into standing fold. Taking a moment here, we're going to have the feet a little wider than the shoulders. And then drawing the shoulders together on the back again here, take the fingers to interlace behind the back. Shoulders pull toward each other, knuckles reach away. If you feel like your shoulders are up by your ears, stretch the knuckles further away from the body. Imagine those shoulders being down and back, right? They're actually kind of up and sideways. I don't know. Let's release the fingers back to the mat. And then take the feet a step wider. So you can stay facing the top of your mat, or you can turn sideways on your mat. I'm going to go ahead and turn sideways. So it's not a crazy wide straddle stance yet, right? And we want to take the fingertips to the floor with the legs straight. So that may not be your reality. You can prop up on blocks here, or you can use your shins. If the knees need to be bent, we want them to be evenly bent. Right? And you'll see what I mean in a second. So let's go ahead and bring the right hand underneath the face. So it's kind of in the middle. It's away from your feet. Taking the left hand to your hip, begin to rotate the belly around to the left here. So the temptation is to bend the right knee and let the hips shift, and then you can just sort of lean back, right? But if you keep the legs even, right, it becomes more of a rotation through the spine rather than just leaning. Right? So in your mind, your hips are level, your shoulders are stacked, your spine is long here. Doing the best we can. Remember, committed to the action, not attached to the outcome. Take another big breath. Releasing the twist. Switch sides here, so bring the left hand in the middle and the right hand to your hip and start to rotate around. Finding space in the spine. We'll take another nice big breath. And then release the twist on this side. So let's take the feet an extra step wider. And once you've had enough, of course you've had enough, right? But as wide as your body will allow you to for this moment. And instead of having the toes point forward, go ahead and turn the toes out toward the corners a bit. Right? You'll know exactly where they need to be in a second. So with the breath here, on the exhale, we're going to bend into the right knee and kind of shift over there. And then inhale, come on back to center and bend into the left as you exhale, right? So you're going to go side to side like that. And you want to make sure your knee is pointing in the same direction as your toes, not collapsed in or hanging out, right? If you see your knee coming forward of your toes, you might need to open your feet a little wider. So just kind of see where your body is. And after you've moved around a little bit here, right, you can maybe move a little deeper. So just kind of play. Let's go once more on each side. Get in there wherever it is for now. Finding center again. Let's go ahead and walk the feet back in up underneath the hip bones. If you did turn sideways on your mat, go ahead and rotate back to the top. We'll bring the hands up to the thighs and press away, coming parallel-ish to the floor. Holding here for a moment. Shoulders back. Got that nice neutral spine, right? Lean on the legs if you feel like you need a little assist, right? So your lower back isn't doing all of the work. It should be mostly, well, not mostly the belly, but the belly should definitely be participating. Sitting back into a chair. Hanging on, center, extend the arms if that's you. Take one more nice big breath. With the inhale, stretching to the ceiling, we'll exhale, release the arms. So we're gonna get ready for some sun salutes here. Just kind of checking in, making sure everybody's good to go. All right. So remember to connect to your breath, add on or not. Right. We're gonna play with our Cobra a little bit this morning. So on an inhale, stretch the arms up toward the ceiling. Exhale, take yourself over into fold. Inhaling, come halfway up. And then exhale, step yourself back into plank. Taking it down to the belly, we're gonna hold here for a moment. And we're gonna work in Sphinx for a second, right? So bring your elbows up underneath your shoulders. Everybody has seen pictures of the Sphinx. Anyway, so the arms are parallel to each other. We're gonna press down into the floor. Lifting the chest. Imagine pulling your belly button between your elbows, lengthening your spine. Tailbone's turning toward the heels. Make sure your lower back stays happy about all of this. And again, your neck is in this neutral place, not with the chin jutted forward. And imagine what your shoulder blades look like on your back. Just beyond a neutral place, but with your upper back maybe more vertical. Let's release back down. Take the hands next to the sides, keeping the elbows in. Press yourself up and back into down dog. On the inhale, step the feet forward. We're coming back to the fold. Next inhale, halfway up. Exhale back over. And then reach for the ceiling. Exhaling and releasing the arms. So adding on. Inhale as you lift. Exhale, come on over into the fold. Halfway up. And back to plank again. Knees, of course, if you need knees. Drop down to the belly as controlled as you can. And then the hands are going to stay next to the side ribs this time. So hug the elbows in toward each other. Feel the shoulders kind of draw back just with that action, right? Keep that. Roll your shoulders, curling the chest away from the floor. So ideally, you could go hands lifts, right? Like when you were a kid on your bike. Pull with the hands if you want to add that. Find that space in your lower back especially, and then maybe press a bit, keeping the elbows bent at the waist and thinking about the placement of the shoulder blades on the back. There should be a lot, hopefully, like when we were in Sphinx. Let's release it. Pressing up and back, down dog. And then inhaling to step forward into fold. Come halfway up on your inhale. Exhale back over. Sitting into chair. Inhale. Exhale, release. So you always have that option coming out, right? Sometimes lifting with that flat back can be a little much for the lower back. So you can move through chair or use your hands, right? Adding on a little bit more here, getting a little bit deeper into the shoulders if you're ready for that, of course. Right? On the inhale, sit into your chair. And then exhale into fold. Halfway up. And then back to plank. Take it down. So again, here your option, right? You could take Sphinx if that was you. You can hang with that little baby Cobra, or maybe start to take the arms almost straight. So the elbows are at the waist, shoulders are back, right? You feel that? Release it. Up and back, down dog. And then with the inhale, step the right foot forward to lunge. Toes all the way up there. And you can drop the knee back there if you like, or the heel. We're gonna lift the upper body, reach it toward the ceiling. Exhale, bring it back down again, back to our down dog. Slide forward to plank. And drop it to the belly. Your option, roll, pull, press. So the trick is to see if you can take the arms almost straight without blocking the elbow and keeping the shoulders down and back. Release it. Up and back, down dog. And then the left foot steps forward. Back knee or heel to the mat and lift. Take it back down again and into down dog. Slide forward for plank and drop down to the belly. So this last one is all you, right? You decide how deep we're going to go into those shoulders. Remember, the idea is to keep the shoulders down and back, right? Just because the arms are straight, the shoulders might be rolling forward and up by your ears, right? Release what you got. Make your way back to down dog. And then hold down dog or drop on down into child's pose. Big breaths, listening to your body. And maybe the hands need to come back down by the heels so the shoulders can rest a little deeper, maybe. Go ahead and take one more breath where you are. And then walk back to down dog. Inhaling as you step your feet forward into the fold again. Coming halfway up on your inhale. Folding back over. And then into chair. Releasing to standing. All right, so let's go ahead and take a nice big step back with the right foot. Left toes pointing forward, right toes cut in a bit. We want to work to keep the hips as open to the side as we can. Belly's in. Arms extend. Reach forward of your left toes, and then go ahead and hinge over for triangle. Lean on a shin or a block, thigh even maybe if that's where you need to lean, right? And if you don't really need to lean, the arm just sort of dangles down from the shoulder. And imagine your spine, right? Is it in a pretty neutral place, or are we rounded or crooked somewhere? And without actually doing a back bend, can you open up more? Let's go ahead and bend the knee. Rest the forearm on the thigh here for a moment. Bring the right arm up and over the ear, stretching long down the side, sinking into your hips. So we want this right shoulder to stay open, left knee pointing forward. The arm can lean. It can hang out here, or maybe just kind of let that arm dangle toward the floor, the left arm. Let's go ahead and release it. Come over into a lunge. Drop on down to the back knee. And then this is the fun part. How about walking the left toes forward until they can't go forward anymore? Find where that is. And then see if you can bring your body any more upright. Okay, so the shoulders are down and back, the chest is open and lifted, and you've got this amazing hamstring and quad stretch going on. Take one more breath. And then wiggle that foot back in. Mess up your mat. So then let's come up off the back knee. Just for fun, no one is watching you. Come up on your toes, even those left toes. I know that feels a little bit awkward. And get springy here. Do not think too much about this. Hop your left foot back and your right foot forward. Drop the back heel. Take the legs straight, lifting your upper body, and the feet are something like we want them for triangle on our second side. So of course adjust if they didn't land exactly where you need them to be. Extend the arms, reach forward, and hinge over. Leaning if you need to lean. Bending the knee and resting the forearm. Take the left arm over the ear. Stay really open, long through your spine here, descending into your hips. Watching this right knee, make sure it's pointing forward. And then maybe leaning on this arm or not so much, or letting it dangle. And then let's release it. Come over into your lunge again. Drop on down to the back knee. See about walking your right foot forward. Remember, it's not about where it goes. It's about the effort, the action. How deep it is doesn't matter. What's the sensation? Is it right? For you. The body as upright as it'll be. Taking one more nice big breath. And then wiggling your way on out of that. Doesn't have to be graceful, don't worry about it. No, again, no one's watching. Come up on the off the back knee. And because we did it on the other side, you have to do it on this side too. Come up on the toes, get a little bouncy, and hop your right foot back and your left foot forward. Step forward, fold. Let's take a bend in the knees. On an inhale, roll up the rear spine. And we're going to take our standing balance. Right? I don't know that it's ultra helpful to necessarily be by a wall for the pose, but if standing on one foot means you need to be near a wall, then that's where you are. Right? So, shifting all the weight over into the left foot, go ahead and bend the right knee back, so your foot's back, and see about the right hand finding the foot. So sometimes the knee kind of wants to hang out. See if you can point the knee at the floor. Keeping the hips and shoulders square to the top of the mat for now. Maybe reach the left arm up. Without letting the knee come forward, imagine taking your knee to point behind you and hinge forward. And we're going to hinge and keep hinging and keep hinging until the left hand can come to the floor. So, kicking the foot into the hands, lift the knee. What about opening the hips here so that the knee points more toward the side than the ceiling or the back wall? Take one more breath. Gently release. So this is the hard part. You're coming back up again. Maybe. And then releasing at the top. And sometimes that works and sometimes not. Right? So the same idea on the second side. Take your time. Work with your balance. Keep the chest open. Open the hips, maybe. Right? See what happens. So all the way right. Bending the left knee. And the left hand finds the foot. And maybe that's the struggle, right? Putting the knee at the floor so the hip stays square for the moment, reaching the right arm up. Hinging forward. Keep coming. The floor comes to you, right? Pressing the foot into the hand, lifting the knee, opening the hip, maybe. And then closing it all back up again. Gently making your way back up. And releasing it. So sometimes it's fun, you kind of fall out, and then sometimes it's like, oh, if you don't. Right. So let's inhale, stretch up. Exhale, take yourself over into fold. Let's allow ourselves to hang for a moment. So how about a bend in the knees? Grab the opposite elbow, let your head hang. Stepping back into a down dog. Let's go ahead and drop on down to the knees. Take just a moment in child's pose. So from here, we're going to slide forward, come out onto the belly. And we're going to work a little bit with that same shape using both. And when we were standing, we only grabbed one foot. And if only grabbing one foot at a time is what works for you, then that's what you do, right? So we want to make sure that the pelvis is our seat. Right? The tailbone turns toward the floor so the lower back stays happy. Go ahead and bend one knee or both knees or however, again, it works for you, grabbing the feet. So you can definitely use a strap here. You can work one foot at a time for sure. Pelvis presses down. We want to pull those shoulder blades together on the back like we've been, right? It feels easier for the knees to come out, but see if you can keep the knees in line with the hips. Pressing the feet into the hands gives you a little bit more lift. Pressing down into the pelvis, maybe you lift your thighs, maybe you come up a little bit higher with your chest. And if you're breathing into your belly, you may feel a little bit of a rock. Take one more breath like that. Put this picture in your head and then release back down. Release your feet. Go ahead and make a little pillow for your head and rest your head on your pillow. And then hands next to the side ribs. Hugging the elbows in so the shoulders stay back. Let's make our way back up. One more time. Down dog. And then we'll drop down to the knees and bring the legs around front. So extending the legs out nice and long, flex your feet. Make sure you feel upright on your pelvis, your belly is engaged, your spine is tall. Okay? So let's stretch the arms up. And again, here we'll hinge forward, coming into our fold. So maybe you touch your toes and maybe you still don't touch your toes. What are your shoulders doing? Did they round to come forward? You just spent 50 minutes-ish trying to open your chest. So open your chest. And then whatever hamstring stretch you get, right? So maybe you're touching your toes and maybe you're not. But it doesn't change what's going on in your hamstrings. Let's take one more breath. With the inhale, we're coming back up to the top again here. And then release the arms. We'll take the feet flat to the floor. You probably will want to scoot forward on your mat because we're going to roll back, taking it down to the back. And when you get there, just allow your knees to draw into your chest, maybe rock a little bit. So one more pose to open the front of the body here. We'll take the feet flat to the floor. Working into bridge. So the heels, knees, and hips stay in this alignment. The arms are going to be nice and tight down the sides of the body. Keep looking up toward the ceiling. Make sure the back of the neck is not touching the floor. Press down into your triceps. Pull your heels towards your hips and lift the hips away from the mat. So it can be as simple as this. Right? And the action is pressing into the arms and pulling the heels toward the body, no matter what little pieces you add on. Right? So you can interlace the fingers like we have been. Tucking the shoulders closer together gives your chest a little lift. Feel it? As long as the lower back is happy about it and you can keep your hips where they are, maybe you can walk your feet in a little closer. And if you released your fingers, you could find your heels, maybe. If you can find your heels, palms up, slide your fingers under your heels. And imagine here a bicep curl. Does that give you a little bit more opening? We're going to take one more breath wherever you are. and gently release what you got. Hold with the hips on the floor, feet on the floor, just releasing your spine. Drawing the knees into the chest and allowing yourself to rock again. So let's take the feet flat to the floor. Open the arms out into a T position here. And you can adjust the hips, of course, if you want to, shifting off to one side. You can bring the knees closer or the legs straighter, however you go. We're going to take the legs over to the right and take one last twist. So again, lots of options here. You can decide to just rest into it. Or maybe you can work a little bit more, stretching the knee or the left foot toward the right hand, stretching the left hand away from the body. Any little addition or variation that makes it right for you. We'll take just a couple more breaths on this side. And then gently bring yourself back to center. Straighten out if you feel a little crooked here, and then go ahead and take the knees over to the left. So ideally, whatever variations you did on one side, you do on the other. And again, regardless of what the outcome is, right? So the body is not perfectly even typically. And if the effort looks a little different on this side, that's actually pretty normal. You have just a couple more breaths over on this side. So making any last minute adjustments. And we'll make our way back up to the middle. Aligning through the spine, and when you're there, bringing the knees back into the chest and rocking. Drawing the knees into the chest and the forehead toward the knees. And then releasing that into a full body stretch. Releasing the muscles and bringing the body to wherever Shavasana is going to be. Finding alignment. And then releasing. Keeping the mind focused on the breath without controlling it. And if it sounds right for you, maybe focusing on a mantra. And it doesn't have to be a big fancy Sanskrit thing. It can simply be a word, and maybe peace, or compassion, or light, or love. If that resonates, just holding that. Give yourself a moment here. Allow your breath to gradually deepen. And begin to restore small movements to the body. When you're ready for it, slowly make your way back up to seated. Drawing the palms to touch. Bowing to the light within. Namaste. I don't know if you guys were all chanting quiet and in peace or what, but it's quiet here except for the terrier, of course. So I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you have a great weekend, and here's to better times ahead. So thanks, you guys. Like, share, comment, holler at me if there's something going on, and we'll talk to you guys next week if I don't see you before. Bye.